Trent Sisley, I just saw a tweet, which I'll be reposting, of him in his Purdue garb as he continues to make his visits. He is a very popular and wanted man, especially within the state of Indiana. Outside too, Iowa, Michigan State have offered.
Notre Dame's making a push.
Oh yes. Daggone it. Micah Shrewsbury, of course, originally from Jeffersonville down in southern Indiana. But he's just, I don't know if this is his last visit or if he has more, but obviously up at Purdue making the visit. Speaking of visits and commitments, Indiana had a major commitment this past weekend with Liam McNeeley. That was their first commitment of 2024, but not just the first commitment. It was a large commitment. It was a commitment that came on national TV. So it was a kind of a big time deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of player Indiana hasn't really gotten for a while, a top 5-star recruit, not from the area. And people had criticized Mike Woodson, wanting to know whether he could go out and win these long recruitments. Well, he just won one. He's in on 2 more. I'm not sure how many of the 2 they're going to get. But if they can get 1 more, I'd say if you get 2 out of 3, that's successful when you're going after these kinds of level of players, and then you figure out the rest of the roster, whether there's some lesser ranked recruits you're still in on or not, or whether you're going to wait for the transfer portal or however you're going to do it. But yeah, Liam McNeeley, I've only seen clips. I watched a little bit of the game Sunday night, but he looks like a guy who will fit in and play any style. He can shoot it better than any small forward I've seen at Indiana, maybe since Christian Watford, and maybe even a better shooter than Christian Watford. He's more of a who would it be? It'd been a while. Brian Evans, yeah. Kirk Haston, one of those dudes. They can shoot the ball. He can pass it. He can handle it. He looks like a good player for the modern era of basketball.
I never even thought about it. It just came out. He does remind me of Brian Evans. He doesn't have the body yet, of course, but and Brian played like a dozen years in the league, I think. So and he was a kid that came out of Terre Haute that was just and then boom. So yeah, those are the kinds of things. But he shot 45% from behind the arc last year. I know that was high school, but McNeeley? I don't care. 45%, dude. That's crazy.
Well, he shot.
Now there's guys that don't shoot that from the free throw line.
I think he shot 37 or 38% in the EYBL competition during the summer, which is the best of the best among high school players. So that's good.
That's real good.
When you watch him play, I mean, he's got the fundamentals down. He sets his feet, he squares his body, he follows through, he has his hands in the right position, he knows where the line is. I mean, he's been well coached. That's a big plus, and it extends the Montverde pipeline to another player, and that can be nothing but good for Indiana. If you're not going to get them all, but if you can get your share, you're doing well. And you beat Kansas 2 in a row for a recruit, so I can't remember the last time Indiana beat Kansas twice for a basketball recruit. It's been a while. Probably some Bob Knight days.
This is not and these are not middling recruits either that say, yeah, we'd like to have him. No, they wanted Liam McNeeley because they settled, and Rakeem Passmore is a great player, I'm sure, but they immediately knew that they weren't getting Liam McNeeley. And when Rakeem Passmore committed there, I'm like, well, there you go. That just seals the deal for me, which I was already, 100% on board thinking that was going to happen. But then you can tell that to me that they're like, okay, we're waving the white flag here. Now, one that the white flag has not been waved on will come again this Friday. Boom, boom. The day of Hoosier Hysteria, which I'm not sure that was purposeful at all, because Boogie Fland has been waiting for his coach to return from a trip from Italy. He just got back, I think, like Sunday. So if Friday is the day he wanted to do it on, or maybe he did want to do it on Friday for Hoosier Hysteria. If it turns out to be Indiana, maybe just coincidental. But I do know that if that were to happen and they, bring that video or whatever up during Hoosier Hysteria Friday night, I may have to go outside for a minute.
Because of the noise?
Oh, my God.
You and Gucci Mane are going to go outside?
I'm going to be down with Gucci Mane. I got to get my Gucci Mane on, man.
I've heard this one keeps going back and forth. It seems to be 50-50. I've heard it both ways. That he's going to, likely go to Kentucky. Indiana feels really good. I don't know. Could be the kid hadn't decided yet. He obviously needed to get away from it all because I think last week he cut it off and didn't want any more coaches coming in to talk to him. He felt like he had all the information he had needed and needed to get in decision-making mode. It seems like Alabama is no longer a school that people are talking about, so it comes down to Cal and Woody. So we'll see if he can win that one too. I don't know. It's tough to get a point guard away from Kentucky when he really wants him because Cal just rolls the tape of Derrick Rose and John Wall and Brandon Knight and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Tyrese Maxey. And
all the difference is, weren't all of those guys projected to go to the NBA?
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander wasn't as highly rated as the rest of them, and he was first team All NBA last year. So that's one who really has blossomed. But yeah, most of the DJ Wagner, most of them, Maxey, a lot of them were projected to be top picks. But still, I mean, when you can sit down, he's already talked about it before. When they come in for the visit, they sit down and show you the list of how much money all their recruits have made in the NBA and who they've done and where they've gone. And it's a powerful sales pitch. It's tough to say no to. So I'm not saying he's going to Kentucky. I'm just saying that makes this one in many ways a tougher one to win than Liam McNeeley.
Yeah, but I think that something that Paul Biancardi said during Liam McNeely's deal, and it wasn't a reference necessarily to Boogie Fland, but that Jalen Hood-Schifino was not projected as a first-round draft pick. And that's definitely one of the things that Woody, I'm sure, talks about, in addition to guys like Carmelo Anthony who are talking to him and where he is dealt with. So I think it may be equal on those grounds. I think it's probably going to be equal at NIL. Indiana is not losing out at NIL. I think that this is just coming down to who he wants to play for,
right?
Who he thinks can, because he only wants to be in wherever, whether it's Lexington or Bloomington. He only wants to be there for 1 year.
Yeah, and who he wants to play with. I mean, I don't know what. I don't know the kid at all.
Well, Liam McNeely says his first call is going to be to Boogie Fland.
Liam McNeely did, yeah. I don't know what kind of relationship he has or how much pull he has. I would think he would have more influence with Derek Queen, but we'll see. And then Derek Queen is supposedly visiting Maryland this weekend. Isn't that right?
Yes,
so
that's his last visit.
Maryland, Indiana, and Houston, I guess. Those are the final three on him. Maybe LSU. I don't know. But
yeah, and plus Rob Cassidy was on, and he said that with Maryland has been kind of thought to be a lean. He's from the area, but more importantly, he said that he thought that Maryland may just throw the bulk of their NIL budget at him to try and land him, which that would be great for Derek. But that, to me, if you have to do that, man, because Indiana is they're not. It's costing some money. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think they're not throwing the bulk of NIL money to any particular player.
Yeah, I mean, it sure seems like these are the only three that they're really interested in at this point. They were a bunch more early on, but they've all gone different directions or been prioritized. Indiana's prioritized these three, or the other kids decided they wanted to go elsewhere, so it's down to these three. So I'm sure that whatever NIL money they have is going to be divided up between these three guys. And we already know McNeely's signed, so I'm sure whatever opportunities are out there for him, he is aware of. And now it comes down to Fland and Queen. So Friday will be, what time is it Friday? 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock?
2 p.m.
Yeah.
2 p.m.s. And so and my question is, all right, what if Indiana does not land Boogie Fland? Then what do you do then? Because you have to have, which they have Gabe Cups, don't get me wrong, but obviously they want an elite level point guard.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be Gabe Cups and somebody out of the portal, I guess, or you wait to see if somebody decommits from another school when a coach gets fired in the spring, or you know, I don't know what other players are still out there that haven't been recruited. It'd be pretty late at this point to jump in on some other guys. You know, you always find somebody. There'll always be somebody who's available, but it's not going to be somebody with the recruiting profile of Boogie Fland for sure.
I think that they're in good shape, but Kentucky's in good shape. When it's this close, it's you. I've heard that it was a slight Indiana lean from a couple of guys I talked to. One from New York, Andrew Barth, will be on with us tomorrow. But that again, a lean. Lean doesn't mean a lot anymore. I mean, if you're leaning, you can easily be pushed back the other way, I think. I don't know.
In today's day and age, I'm sure it's.
How much conversation is going on, do you think, right now, though, between the Kentucky camp, the Indiana camp, and Boogie Fland in this week? Or are they leaving him alone?
I don't think there's any with Boogie Fland. I would think there'd be some. I mean, these guys are allowed to have representation, so there's conversation, I'm sure, with their representation about, you know, and not from the coaching staffs. It's got to be from the NIL groups, I would.
Well,
think.
No, I'm talking about from the coaching staff talking to him still.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like he has shut it down for the most part. I'm sure they can text him. It's up to.
I think his decision is made. He was just waiting for his coach to return.
Yeah, it sounded like it. So I don't know. We'll find out on Friday. It's 50-50. Maybe, I don't know, maybe 51-49. I'd give Kentucky a slight lead from what I've heard.
Well, I asked that question. Let me ask the other question. What if Indiana lands Boogie Fland and Derek Queen to go with Liam McNeeley?
Oh, that's the best recruiting class in a long time. Like we talked about last week, maybe back to the 89 class of Calvert Chaney and Greg Graham and was that Funderburk and Pat Graham and a couple other guys in there. Now, somebody said that'd be their best recruiting class ever, and I'd have to say let's take a time out here because it's not better than Scott May, Quinn Buckner, Bobby Wilkerson, Jim Cruz, Tom Abernathy. 4 starters on an undefeated national championship team. And
people forget that.
They all played in the NBA, except for Cruz.
Yeah, people forget that, and then you go back to that 89 team. Calvert Chaney alone would become the all-time leading scorer in the Big Ten. Still is a team that one of the Indiana teams that definitely should have won a minimum of 1 national championship. Just didn't happen for whatever reason.
Henderson hurt his knee. That hurt him.
Yep, absolutely. They still almost did it. Leary almost got him there with those shots against Duke, man. But TV Teddy made sure to take care of that, fouling out 5 Indiana players. Crazy.